I truly think I'm gonna look back at February and think I was never the same after that. I read 7 books in February, which was 2,414 pages. At the end of last year, it was taking me forever to get through books, and the beginning of this year, I feel like I'm flying a lot easier through books. I'm also allowing myself to try a lot more genres, kind of put myself out there and figure out what I really like, and so far it's been going really well. In February, I read YA, high fantasy, romantasy, and sci-fi, which is like a lot going on, a lot of different genres, a lot of different tropes, and some genres that I've never previously read before. So we're gonna chat about these books. I'm gonna tell you the synopsis, I'm gonna tell you what I thought about them, and yeah. I started off the month by reading Mistborn: A Secret History by Brandon Sanderson. I did an entire TikTok series, and there's also a YouTube video out about my entire journey reading Mistborn, which was just phenomenal. It was my first time ever reading like a high fantasy series and just kind of gauging my reaction on all of that and how I felt as a previously primary romantasy reader or romance reader, and I really, really loved it. I'm not gonna harp on that because I've talked about it so much on this page and on TikTok and on Instagram and everywhere that I am. But I literally loved it so much, and I basically on my TikTok, you know, asked people like, what is the correct Brandon Sanderson order? And a lot of every single person you talk to regarding that topic is going to tell you something totally different. So I kind of just went with like the general vibe, and everybody in those videos was telling me after I read the first Mistborn trilogy, so the first 3, which is The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and Hero of Ages, everybody said go ahead and pick up the little novella. It's only 155 pages of kind of the backstory of things going on behind the scenes of those books, and it's called Mistborn: A Secret History, and it was a super easy read, and honestly, every time I've read a novella, I'm like, yeah, like it's cute, it's fun, it's cute. This is the first time I've ever rated a novella 5 stars. Now, you cannot just pick up this novella and read it by itself. This is supposed to be directly following the Mistborn trilogy, or some people will say to wait until the second Mistborn trilogy. I am so pro team, even though I haven't read the second trilogy yet, I'm so pro reading the novella in between, because it just, one, it follows all of the characters that are in the first Mistborn trilogy, and I believe all the characters are different in the second. And so knowing me, knowing how many things I forget after I read something, those characters, like, I wouldn't have connected as deeply to the novella if I didn't know what was actually happening. So essentially, the novella, I can't really give you a synopsis because it's going to spoil stuff if you've never read the Mistborn trilogy, so I'll kind of just do my best. But it essentially follows very beloved characters from the Mistborn trilogy, and what's going on behind the scenes. It gave me so many answers to questions that were left unanswered at the end of the Mistborn trilogy. How many times am I going to say Mistborn trilogy? It basically just answered so many things that were left unanswered, and it just was such... If you've seen my reaction to the end of Hero of Ages, which was quite drama, very, very drama of me, I was very emotional about it. It was like actually so crazy. That book, the novella, kind of gave me a little bit of closure, like a little bit, you know. It gave me some answers, it gave me more information, and I really did like have just a beautiful time reading it. I did rate this 5 stars. I loved it. So basically just take this as my recommendation to make sure that you read the Mistborn trilogy. You know, I've harped on it a lot. I've talked about it a lot, kind of like how I'm talking about Red Rising a lot, and we'll be talking about that in this video. It is a really great series. It's a very good introduction to high fantasy. It took me a lot longer to read than normal, which I think is why I hit a reading slump October, November, December of 2024. But now looking back, like, it all makes sense, and I think that it really helped me gain an appreciation for a new-ish genre to me. And now I kind of know my method of like reading that, if that makes sense. Like, I feel a lot more comfortable jumping into these worlds because I know that I'm going to enjoy it, if that makes sense. So if you were primarily a romantasy reader or you stick around romance or whatever, do I think this might be for you? Yes, it really just depends. Like, would this book have been for me 2 years ago when I was brand new on my reading journey? No. I think that I wouldn't have been able to like digest it or really like find joy in reading it. But now that like I know what I appreciate in reading and like I'm looking for new genres and stuff, it was like the perfect time, found me at the perfect time. And if you're wanting to kind of like delve into that genre, I think that it's a really, really good starting point. So it really just depends. It could be for you or it might not be. So You just kind of have to gauge that. So that was my first read of February. Totally switching gears, in January, Onyx Storm came out, which is the third book in the Empyrean series, which follows Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I loved this book. I'm not really going to talk about this a ton because I read this back in January, but I did do a full reread in February just to catch anything that I may have missed. I think that it was definitely necessary if you are a Fourth Wing fan. I think reading this a second time around, really reading all of them a second time around, has really helped me grasp the story. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of things going on in this, and this book specifically was a lot more in-depth about the politics and about the little nuances within the story, and it didn't just focus on the romance section of it. And so there was a lot that I missed reading this, and so I went back and did like half audiobook, half physically reading it for the second read, and it really, really helps me formulate my own theories, understand everybody else's theories, and really grasp the story as a whole. I know that when we get to the point where the fourth book is coming, probably in like 2 years, I will reread all of them because there is so much complexity to this series. There's a lot of hate for this series and there's a lot of love for this series, and I think it's popular because it's good, in my opinion, which is also how I feel about a lot of SJM stuff. I think once you reach a certain level of popularity, there's always going to be hate for something, and I totally understand people's like reasoning behind it, but I think she really strengthened the story with this book. I gave this 4 stars. Fourth Wing is just like, there's no feeling like it. Like, the way that she writes puts you right there at Basgiath with these students. And so if you haven't read the Empyrean series and you're just looking for a good time, honestly, like, I really recommend it. Like, as somebody who now like really, really tries to get into like complex stories, I love plot, I love romance, I love characters, I love all of it. This story hits the mark for everybody, I think. I think that it touches on every single thing a person could like about fictional stories. And so I'm a big advocate. I think that people love to be a hater. They love to hate. And I'm just not a hater, okay? Like, I'm just really not a hater of this, at least. Like, I'm a hater of other things, I'm sure, but I really liked this. The reread, I think, was definitely necessary. With that being said, the ending of this book is so harrowing. There's so many questions that are not answered yet, and I am just personally not well. I'm personally not okay with how that ending, and knowing that Miss Rebecca Yarros is taking a break, which, like, well-deserved, queen. But, like, listen, I'm gonna need those answers yesterday, and, like, yeah. So all that to say, I read the ending of Hero of Ages, which destroyed me, and then I read the ending of Onyx Storm, which destroyed me, and so I thought, for my next read in February, I'm just gonna pick up a cozy little romantasy and just have a great time. Wrong. I picked up Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider, and I went in blind. I did not know a single thing about this book. I didn't know if it was standalone. I didn't know if it was a series, but I thought, how bad can it be? It can be bad. Yeah, it can. I got to the end of this book, was absolutely shocked. I mean, we're talking, yes, every book tends to have a plot twist. This one, I couldn't see from 15 miles away, okay? This author did do a phenomenal job of really hitting you over the head with a twist no one would see coming. I don't know how, I've done my fair share of guessing twists, okay? That one was not even on my radar. Not even in the slide, nothing. Not even near that. So also probably because I was so focused on like just having a dandy, nice, good time after reading 2 books that absolutely altered my brain chemistry and destroyed me. Drama, yeah, drama. And the drama continued because Metal Slinger was so much more complex and it just left me in shambles, to be honest. And so that really just added to my drama of the month because I was like, oh, okay, we are getting no breaks at all. And I guess that I am a sucker for pain because I started the Red Rising trilogy after that, which is nothing but pain. Okay? But anyways, back to Metal Slinger. I rated this 4 stars. My one gripe with this book, one, singular. It was originally self-published, which sometimes is totally fine, okay? But there were a few typos and little weird gimmicks within the writing that I know would have been edited out if it had been traditionally published. I actually didn't know it had been self-published prior to me picking it up. And because I noticed those little things, I had to look up, like, was this self-published? And it was. And that took me out of the story a little bit. Do I think that all self-published books are bad? No, not at all. I think that they can be really well done. And I think this one was really well done. I just can be hypercritical of things like that, and I do notice them, and I don't want to notice them. But this book is now, because it has gained such popularity within the book talk community, is now getting traditionally published, so I assume those little things will be gone this year. I don't know when it's getting published, probably summer or fall, and I have no idea when the second book is coming out, which is... it'll probably be a while, because now that it's been picked up by a traditional publishing company, it'll probably be a little bit for that editing process and stuff. So all to say, was it worth my read? Absolutely. I literally rated it 4 stars, which to me is very, very high, and I'm excited for the second book. Did the characters grip me in a way that I'm still thinking about them? No. But will I spend time reading it? Yes. So overall, I say yes, read this. It's a good one. I had a good time reading it until the end when I was absolutely like shot in the heart. And I'm excited for that. The only downside was that little complaint that I had, but it's not enough to be like, oh, write it off. Like, I'm not reading it. It just took me out of the story a little bit. And I assume that will not be a problem after this year. Metal Slinger is essentially about this community of people who have been outcast by the people who live on land. So I had a hard time like picturing it, but essentially these people live on like a giant island basically, and they're just relying on being able to go back to land once a year to get all the supplies and trade what they need. But they're essentially like, there's a peace agreement, but they're still like on like in rocky waters with them. And so essentially the whole book is like navigating that relationship. And so we've got our main character, and we basically discover that she's been lied to about a lot of her life, and that she isn't necessarily originally from where we thought she was from. So that's kind of like all I'm going to give you. It does have a very like tension-filled love story, which I really, really enjoyed. I loved the characters. I felt like she did a really, really good job creating tension, creating banter, doing all of that stuff while also having a pretty fast-paced driving plot. I'm not the best person at giving synopsises because I always go into books blind, but I will put a little synopsis here for you if you're intrigued by this story, and I will just leave it at that. I really, really liked it, and I do recommend. Then I read 2 little YA stories by Marissa Meyer. I read Cinder and Heartless. If you've been around my page for a while, you know that I am not the biggest YA person. It takes a lot for me to enjoy a YA story. Why do I keep trying them? I don't really know why. Because I want to enjoy them. You know what I mean? Like, I really desperately do. Like, there's a few examples of YA stories that I really like. One being Divine Rivals. That's really all I can think of right now, but there's definitely been a few YA stories that I'm like, yeah, like I can get down with that. These books were cute. So if you're looking for like a cute, mindless, probably audiobook, like if you're an audiobook listener, I listen to these on audiobook. They're very cute. They're very mindless. Will I be reading a YA anytime soon unless I'm absolutely convinced? No, because both of these books really, really frustrated me at the end. I think it's also because I have been reading such depth in the character and the plot and all of that stuff that I'm judging these harsher. They are built for a YA audience, so probably people early on in their reading journey. Not to say that I'm anywhere like above that, because I'm definitely still in the beginning of my reading journey, but for me, it just felt quite thin. The characters were so thin. Let's specifically talk about Heartless for a second. Heartless is essentially about how the Queen of Hearts became the Queen of Hearts. This is not a spoiler because everybody knows the story of Queen of Hearts. She's obviously the off with their heads, scary queen lady that in Alice in Wonderland we're afraid of. So it's essentially the story of how she goes downhill. Without saying too much, I knew this was going to happen at the end, but I was still very unsatisfied with the ending, even though I knew it wasn't going to necessarily be a happy ending. It was such a cute, fun story until the last like 5 chapters when everything, goes to hell and we have to like figure out how she ended up becoming the Queen of Hearts. It was the way that the whole time that this character, who presents as a very sweet, kind, precious girl, you know from the beginning she becomes the Queen of Hearts. So you're expecting to see kind of like a President Snow in Songbirds and Snakes and Songbird. Suzanne Collins' book about President Snow turning evil, right? You're expecting a character arc that you slowly see the mania take over, right? It was so out of place, so random. I felt like I read the page of the character and then I flipped it and she was a totally different person within seconds. It was so clunky. Like, I was so dissatisfied with this book. The longer that I'm away from it, the more that I'm being more judgmental of it. I originally gave it 3 stars, and I'm not going to necessarily change that, but I would go lower. I think that this is a cute, fun story for maybe a middle schooler. But I was just like so mad at like the lack of creativity in crafting a character arc that goes insane. Like, it just like was way too quick. I just was like, she could have done a better job of switching that character around. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I might be wrong. It's hard for me because my like bestie recommended this book for me and she loved it. And she said, I don't know if I loved it because I was 14 or if it's actually good. This for a 14-year-old would slay, okay? But me, as a 23-year-old, also reading Hero of Ages and Red Rising, I was like, like, how did we get here? Yeah, I can't do it. And then I rewarded myself by reading another one of her books. Cinder was better. It was better than Heartless. Cinder is essentially a retelling of Cinderella, and it's part of the Lunar Chronicles. I think there's 4 books. I think it's Cinder, Scarlet, Winter, and Cress. Something like that. Am I going to continue it? No, I don't think that I will. I think that it will get better from that story. Here's the thing. I liked Cinder. I liked the book itself. I gave it like 3.5 stars. It probably would drop down to a 3 the more that I'm thinking about it. But the story itself was actually really intriguing. Essentially, Cinder is, part of the classic, her stepmom doesn't like her and her stepsisters and all of that stuff, the same dynamic, except she is cyborg. And we're placed into a world of like, almost like a sci-fi world actually, for like a YA sci-fi novel almost, fantasy / sci-fi. There's a lot going on, and it was really cool. The world was really cool. I was like, oh, like this is a very interesting take on Cinderella's story, and I was pleasantly surprised with it. But again, the ending was so unsatisfying. We get no resolution between our 2 main characters, and everyone's like, oh, you have to read the rest of the books to get that. But the thing is, the next books aren't in Cinder's perspective, so you have to learn the rest of Cinderella's story through the eyes of other characters where Cinder isn't even a main character in those books, from my knowledge. And that just seems crazy to me. It's a cool concept. I just don't think it's for me. I felt so empty after reading Cinder because I was like, I just went through all of this stuff with Cinder and Kai and watching their love story unfold. And because you know Cinder's going to end up with the prince, right? Cinder, why was there no resolution at the end of this book? Like, I don't know. I just was very thrown off that I have to now read the second book, which is a Red Riding Hood retelling, and listen to all of Red Riding Hood's story for me to get a normal Cinderella ending for Cinder. I don't know. It just really threw me off. And then it makes me think, okay, am I going to read Red Rising? Please. It's just on my mind. Am I going to read Scarlet, the second book, and not get the ending of the Little Red Riding Hood story and then have to read the next one to get the ending of that? It almost felt like a cheap gimmick to get you to read the rest of the series, and that just didn't feel right to me. And I know some people, it's one thing if like you don't have like the correct, like let's take A Court of Thorns and Roses, for example. The first book, you get like an ending, and you feel like satisfied with that ending, but you don't get the real story until book 2. The difference is it's all still the same characters and the same perspective where you're going to get the ending of the story. Cinder, it was like, oh, hey, actually, you need to go to this other book and listen to this whole other story that I'm like not interested in and find out what happens to Cinder and Kai. And that just felt odd to me, and I don't know. I'm sure the all 4 together, once you have the completed story of all of them, is really cool. And please correct me if I'm wrong. If I need to go back and give this a shot, because I did like Cinder. I liked her writing a lot better in Cinder than in Heartless. And most people say that about Marissa Meyer's writing. So I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be judging it too harshly or too fast. But yeah, I think that I need to step back from YA for a while, because I repeatedly am reading YA stories that I'm just not satisfied with, and I hate giving bad reviews. Like, I do. And it's not even a bad review. Like, it's still a 3 star. Like, that's, like, pretty even high. Like, I think that 3-star means it was good, it was solid, nothing memorable. Like, there's still like some tweaks that I would critique. But again, I'm not the end all be all. So if you love it, that's great. That's great. It just, yeah, I don't think it was for me, but maybe the Lunar Chronicles as a whole is for me, and I maybe need to give it another chance. I don't know. Let's get to why we're all here. Okay, Red Rising and Golden Sun. This is why I'm saying February, I'll never be the same after February, because this is my first sci-fi series I've read. I've read one other sci-fi book, and it's called The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, and I probably will go back to read that series. It's my husband's favorite series, and I'm getting him to read Mistborn and then Red Rising next, so I'm very excited about that. He is in the middle of the Final Empire right now, so I'll keep y'all updated on his Mistborn journey. But Red Rising, I don't want to give you like too much information because I am going to be doing a full Red Rising original trilogy vlog where I am vlogging all of my reactions to reading book 1, all of my reactions to reading book 2, and all of my reactions to reading book 3, which I'm in the middle of right now. And so I want to give you that like full vlog where I can actually discuss my feelings and have like a whole time with you guys. I'm trying to decide if it's going to be spoiler free or not. I think it will have spoilers, but it might just be like the end section, similar to what I did with Mistborn. I might like put like spoiler free section and then I might like add all my spoiler thoughts later. I'm not really sure. Or I might just make it full spoilers. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I just had so many thoughts and I needed to like discuss them out loud. So there are a lot of spoilers in the videos that I filmed for it. But anyways, back to what I'm saying. These books are so good, and I'm not going to harp because I've said this a million times. It's all over my YouTube shorts. It's all over my TikTok. I'm obsessed with this. Okay? However, and this is why I'm so weird. This is why I am so weird. Like, this is a 6-star series to me so far, but neither of these books alone have been 5 stars. I don't know. And I said the same thing about Throne of Glass, though. Like, when I first read Throne of Glass, I was like, yeah, this is a 6-star god tier series for me, but some of the books within the series are not 5 stars. That's how I feel about Mistborn. Like, the first 2 books were only 3 stars for me, like, or 3.5. I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then Hero of Ages was 5 stars because like Hero of Ages, but like the series as a whole is god tier to me. And I don't know if that's like a flaw within my ranking or like rating thing, but so far both these books have been 4.5. I think I'll go back and rate them higher. Red Rising is just so like, I don't know, like it's so almost nostalgic to me now. Like, I feel like it's a part of me that maybe these both are 5 stars. I feel like I can never give an accurate rating of a series that I'm super interested in until I finish it. And so I'm trying to debate if I want to read Morningstar, which is book 3, and then just go ahead and read the other 3. The only thing is the 7th book, which completes the series, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't even have a release date yet. So I'm kind of like, do I wait? I don't know. I'm very conflicted. Anyways, these are so good, and I'm not going to give you like a full synopsis because you got to go in blind. I'll read you the literal 3-sentence synopsis on the back. It says, his wife taken, his people enslaved, driven by a longing for justice and the memory of lost love, Darrow will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if he must become one of them to do so. For the first time, Red will rise. Essentially, we are dropped into a very sci-fi, very space world, and this is the first time I've ever read anything like that, and once you get past like the space aspect of it, everything starts to like make sense if you're like a newer sci-fi reader. But we've got our main character Darrow, who is up there right now with Kelsier, up there with Aelin Galathinius. I mean, such a stunning, gorgeous character. The way that his character has been written, Pierce Brown, you'll go down in the history books for that one. Like, so good, so good. The characters are the driver of the story, and that is my favorite story to read. I just think the pacing, the choices that were made within the plot of the story so far are stunning. They're phenomenal. I can't say enough good things. And so if you're afraid if sci-fi is for you, just try it. I also will say the audiobooks are really nice too. I've been flipping back and forth between physical and audio for Morningstar, and I love the narrator. And so I think that that's also helpful with kind of getting into the vibe of the story too. So if you're newer to it, I mean, just try it out and see how you feel. But I've really, really enjoyed it. And that was surprising to me. I didn't necessarily expect to super, super enjoy it. Thrown into this essentially hierarchy of colors. And so people are born, certain colors: red, blue, silver, gray, obsidian, gold, like all of them, right? And all of them are kind of like born into like a different sect of society. And so reds are essentially slaves. They're doing all the mining, they're doing all the work. And that's kind of where we were dropped, just in the middle of this story. And we meet these incredible characters, this cast of just phenomenal plot-driving characters that have full-fledged personalities, and you are so deeply connected to each and every one of them. And just there are some moments within this series that are so god tier 6-star moments. Like, I could name chapters of just things that I've been like, yo, like, what? Like, that is crazy. Like, so good. I think it was chapter 29 or 30 of Red Rising that I was like, holy crap, like, this story is so good. I don't know for sure if that's what it was, but I think it was. And, like, it just so far, like, I mean, it's exceeded every expectation of everything that I have read prior to this. Like, literally so good. So if you're looking for a reason to read it, go ahead and read it so that we can have a spoiler video moment when I release my Red Rising vlog, okay? I probably will do, like, a spoiler-free version just to get people into it, or, like, give you, like, a time marker of, like, hey, if you haven't read it, then you can get off the video, you know? But I just loved it. I loved it so much. I've loved, like, chatting with you guys about it on TikTok, and then also on this vlog that I'm making, and I'm so excited to, like, actually finish that up. I'm so close to finishing. Maybe I'm not close to finishing this book. I am about halfway through Morning Star right now, so I'm pretty close to finishing up that vlog. But yeah, it has been a great time. We're 5 days into March. I'm nothing if not reliably late to wrap-ups, okay? Releasing this video just slightly late. I'm sorry about that. But I've already had such phenomenal reads from March, and I cannot wait to talk to you about them. I am just really delving into so many different subcategories and things that, like, like, it's been so good. Like, my books I've been reading have been so good, and I'm so excited for the rest of March because, like, I think I found, like, a new author I really like, and so I'm super pumped to talk to you guys about that. So keep your eye out for the March wrap up. I think that's all the books I read in February. I'm pretty sure that it is. Another thing that I wanted to add into my kind of monthly wrap-up videos is my physical book journal. I got this idea from Madison Kate Reeds, who actually is the one who got me into book talk and got me back into a lot of the books that I absolutely love. And so she had the idea on her, like, monthly wrap-up maybe a couple months ago of making a physical book journal in an old book of yours. That is just absolutely genius. Madison, if you're watching this, that was like, I think that you, like, reached into the depths of, like, the creativity of the gods, because that was so smart of you. So I did that. She basically, like, took a book from 2024, so last year, like, one of her favorite books from 2024, and made it into a book journal. And I was like, that is brilliant. That's brilliant work. So one of my favorite books from last year was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and so I've turned this into a physical book journal. And so I think at the end of my videos for my wrap-ups, I'm going to, like, share the pages that I've done and share with you kind of, like, what I'm doing in my book journal. I love watching book journal videos, so if you want more videos on that kind of thing, let me know. If you don't, also let me know. All good over here. But I do love a cute physical book journal, just kind of a way to get off my Kindle, get off my screens, and just work on something creative that's that's tangible, that's physical. This is just a little bookmark that I made from my scrapbooking materials, but I got this book used from an old library, and yeah, just basically turned it into a book journal. It's so cool. So first page, we have, like, a little intro, little 2025 reading journal page. This is, like, a sticker from my book club that I have in person. And then another thing that I saw Madison do was do, like, an intro page about yourself. And so what I did was I just kind of did, like, a hi, it's Soph page, just, like, a cute little intro page of, like, a picture of me from last year. And then I also put, like, my age, where I'm working, where I'm living, because who knows, in a year from now when I look back at my old journals, I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is what was going on in my life at that time. That's so fun. I also put, like, my book talk count and my YouTube count, because, like, as I grow, I would love to see, like, the little physical timestamps of, like, who joins our little group here. So much fun. But yeah, just, like, a little fun facts about me page. I did a page dedicated to my favorite book of 2024, which was Into the Dark by Jessa Hastings. I love how this turned out. Like, it was so cute. If you're a Magnolia Parks Universe girl, you know how, like, cool it is. I found, like, a nautical themed, like, scrapbooking thing. So fun. And then, like, a little art, like, it just, like, came together so good. I love it so much. This is probably my favorite page, and it just came together so good. Then this is my monthly reading tracker. Basically, it's just, like, a physical way to keep track of how many books that I've read. And then I have, like, a ranking system. So, like, I have, like, whatever color the book is colored in, that's, like, the rating that I gave it. This is just, like, a physical way for me to see how many books that I read. My technical goal for 2025 is 75 books. Could go over, could go under, depending on if I continue in my Cosmere journey, and those books are, like, 4 books each long for one book. So we'll see, but it's just kind of like a physical way for me to count how many books I've read this year. So far I'm at 12, and then once I add all my March reads in, it'll be more than that. And then the page after is also just a continuation in case I'm feeling crazy and get up to 88 books, which I don't foresee, but we'll see what happens. This is my book of the year little ranking chart. So far this has been so hard for me, because how in the literal world am I supposed to choose my favorite between my January and February Hero of Ages and Red Rising? Are you joking me? How am I supposed to pick that? I'm like actually like visibly upset about that. But yeah, that's how I'm gonna rank like my book of the year. And then I left these next couple pages blank because when I like this arrow kind of indicates like it like the reveal, like what's her book of the year? And I'll do like it's either gonna be like a full 2 pages about my book of the year, or like a page about my favorite book of the year, or a page about and then the next one is a page about my favorite series of the year, because it could be different. So we'll see. But I left those blank to give myself creative freedom for later. Then we have my January reads page, all the books that I read, the little ratings, and then the little stats. January I read 2,547 pages, which is crazy because I read less pages than that in February and read 2 more books than January. Isn't that weird? Isn't that a weird thing? I read 2 audiobooks and 3 physical in January. My average star rating was 3.85, so I'll do that for every month. I have not done it for February yet, so I'll just show you guys that in March. But yeah, just like a cute little way. And then I did favorite books of January, which was the Mistborn trilogy, or really Hero of Ages, because that's what I read in January. But kind of gave just like a little, thoughts, little review on that. Read some quotes and stuff. I said, I'm changed chemically, loved all of this. And then I started on my February page, got some cute little things going. All of my little book pages that I need to glue in are here, not glued in, so they're falling out. But I have all the books that I've read, and I kind of already knew Red Rising would be my top book, so I'll make like a page for Red Rising, and do that on the next page. And so that will kind of be my book journal, and we'll just keep going throughout the year. And I think that this is so, so cute, and so I'm so excited. If you have any like page suggestions or extra things that I should do with this, I would be so open to hearing that. I love this. I think it's so cute. Thank you, Madison, for that idea. Please go check out her page. She is my all-time favorite book talker. I actually got the opportunity to send her a special copy of her favorite book, which was The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. So she's a big Magnolia Parks girl. She's actually the one who had me read it. She's the one who convinced me to read it, and it changed my life. So thank you for that. But please go check out her page. I love her stuff. And if you look at her bookshelf, you can see the little book that I made. Because if you don't know, I have a little bookbinding small business on the side. I do that. I work at a coffee shop, and then the other days I do YouTube and TikTok, and then I also have this little bookbinding small business too. So I was able to send her that book, which was so special. And yeah, so if you look at her bookshelves, you can see the little book that I made. But yeah, go check out her page. I love this channel. I have a lot more of you on here, which is like still like a small number of people, but like I don't care. Like I feel like I'm that grandma with like the cute little Facebook group, and I just update you guys all the time. Like that's what it feels like, and I love that. And I will make videos for you guys like I'm a famous booktuber, book talker, because I love talking about books. I love that you're here. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for watching my shorts. It's a great time over here, okay? I love books, okay? And getting to talk about them, especially the idea that at some point, you know what my goal in life is? To be able to talk about and read books for a living. You know what I'm saying? But for real, I love you guys. I love this channel. I love making stuff for you. Thanks for watching. As always, please like and subscribe. Comment video ideas, comment books you want me to read, comment your thoughts on the books that I talked about today. Also, I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram, I am on Goodreads, and I'm on Fable. So there's a lot of places that we can be buddies, lots of places that we can be friends, so go ahead and follow along on those. Also, I'm not the best at giving reviews on Goodreads and Fable. I'm better at doing it on TikTok and Instagram. So Fable and Goodreads is really just to like mark off what I've read, and so you'll know what books are like coming up in my reviews and all that stuff. But as far as like actually talking about the books, it'll be more like a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok thing. I loved reading in February with you. Please keep me updated in the comments of everything else you would like to see, and I will see you next time.